Imagine realizing the very program your company built to prevent a discrimination lawsuit is suddenly the exact thing that's going to get you sued.
Yeah, that is a terrifying thought for any HR department.
Right. Well, welcome to today's deep dive. We're looking at a stack of incredibly timely sources today, recent legal briefs, a USC dissertation, and a major Canadian report on innovation ecosystems.
That's a lot of ground to cover.
It is. Our mission is to figure out the sudden, massive rollbacks happening right now in corporate and federal diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI programs. And because we're dealing with civil rights interpretations and executive orders, we need to be really clear right up front.
Absolutely. We have to lay that ground rule.
Exactly. These sources cover highly politically charged developments. Our goal isn't to take a political side or endorse any viewpoint. We are strictly here to impartially report the facts in these documents so you can understand the mechanics of this complex shift.
And it really is a massive shift. I mean, to understand it, we have to look at the legal triggers. Like in January 2025, Executive Order 14173 was signed.
The one targeting federal DEI practices.
Right, to mandate what it calls, quote, merit-based opportunities. And at the exact same time, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the EEOC, adopted a much more aggressive enforcement posture under Chair Andrea Lucas.
Yeah, I read through Chair Lucas's statements and her stance. It completely flips the script on how corporations usually think about diversity.
It really does.
It's like downloading a security patch and suddenly your antivirus software flags your actual operating system as malware. The EEOC is actively scrutinizing DEI programs for disparate treatment against any demographic. And she explicitly noted that includes white men.
That software analogy hits the nail on the head, actually. The standard has moved from passive observation to active enforcement of Title VII.
Which is the 1964 Civil Rights Act, right?
Exactly. The federal law that prohibits employment discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. So under this strict interpretation, if a DEI program uses race or sex as a motivating factor in hiring or promotions.
Even if the intent is to fix past injustices.
Yes. Even then, it risks violating Title VII.
Wow. And we're seeing courts apply this logic in really surprising ways. Like, the sources mention the 2024 Fearless Fund appellate ruling, which restricted a race-based grant-making competition using the 1866 Civil Rights Act.
That was a massive turning point.
I have to admit, I was so confused by that. How is a law passed immediately after the Civil War being used to regulate modern corporate grants?
I know, it sounds wild, but that is the crucial legal pivot. The 1866 Act was originally designed to ensure freed slaves had the equal right to make and enforce economic contracts.
Okay, makes sense.
But recently, courts have interpreted it to mean that any contract, including a business grant or a vendor agreement that excludes a group based on race, is unlawful.
Oh, so a grant exclusively for Black women business owners was ruled to violate that post-Civil War contract law.
Precisely, which completely explains the absolute panic in the corporate world right now.
Yeah, companies are terrified. They are running what the legal briefs call privileged audits. I dug into how these work, and it's basically a stealth maneuver.
All right, they bring in the lawyers.
Exactly. A company hires outside legal counsel to review their DEI programs under attorney-client privilege. That way, if the audit uncovers legally risky practices, the findings are shielded from legal discovery.
They can't be used against the company in court, so they are quietly scrubbing their initiatives, replacing targeted demographic goals with generic, compliance-safe language.
Like a broad outreach or whatever.
Yeah, or barrier removal. But this legal risk mitigation is taking a massive human toll. The USC dissertation we reviewed introduces the concept of DEI fatigue, and the data is just striking.
It really is. The USC research points out that Black women make up less than 4% of the tech workforce, yet they are disproportionately tasked with leading these under-resourced DEI efforts.
Right, because marginalized groups are frequently asked to fix systemic inequities, so they face a huge emotional taxation.
And then when companies start viewing these programs merely as legal liabilities rather than, core business functions,
those roles become the first to go. We saw this during recent tech layoffs, where DEI-dedicated roles faced nearly 40% attrition.
Okay, so I understand the legal fear, but let's look at the actual business impact, because this is where the Canadian STI report on innovation ecosystems completely reframed the conversation for me.
Oh, the data on product development.
Yes. It states that diverse teams bring products to market 75% faster, and the mechanism behind that makes total sense. Like a homogenous team builds a product for themselves and only discovers edge case flaws when the broader market tries to use it.
Which is a very expensive way to test a product.
Exactly. A diverse team catches those blind spots in the design phase, saving months of costly redesigns. So, are companies sacrificing their long-term profitability just to pass a legal compliance checklist?
The research strongly suggests they are. True innovation isn't just about, inventing something in a STEM lab.
Right, you have to actually sell it.
Exactly. It requires diverse inputs for actual product adoption and commercialization. The Canadian report highlights persistent disparities, like women and Indigenous researchers receiving significantly less funding.
Which just starves the whole ecosystem.
Exactly. When you remove diverse perspectives from the room with a funding pool, you inherently limit your ability to understand consumer behavior and commercialize successfully to a broad population.
Well, we are clearly transitioning from a period of rapid DEI growth into an era defined by strict legal scrutiny, deep budget cuts, and profound corporate fatigue.
The old models are just being systematically dismantled.
They really are. Which leaves you with this final thought to mull over. If traditional demographic-focused DEI programs are legally dead, what completely new, legally defensible frameworks will the corporate world have to invent to ensure they don't lose the competitive advantage of diverse talent?